What's up, guys? Sad Boy Productions here again to bring you another sad list about sad stuff, and today we're going to be talking about heartbreak and breakups. So, I'm assuming that a few of you guys are here to find songs that you can relate to after a recent breakup or something like that, right? Well, I have good news for you because today's video is sponsored by Bound2, the best dating app on the market specifically focused on bringing hip-hop fans together. The app has a lot of Kanye West references, but it's for fans of any artists. As you can see as you're scrolling through it, when you're setting up your profile, you can actually pick your 3 favorite artists to be displayed on your profile, and I'm actually on there as an artist too, so pick me if you want some instant matches. Undoubtedly though, the best feature is the ability to send randomly selected rapper quotes to someone when you match with them using a function called the Yay button. Illustrated perfectly with this video on screen right now. As you can see, it can make for an interesting way to continue a conversation. So, if you want to find someone with similar music tastes to you, and you want to avoid every woman that puts Smoke Purp as one of her favourite artists, click the link at the top of the description below to download the Bound2 app. And hey, if you get a date from this app and things don't end well, it's okay, because we're about to cover 10 sad rap songs that you can come back to and cry to if everything else fails. With all that being said, thank you to Bound2 for sponsoring this video. This is CDTVProductions, and let's take a look at the 10 saddest rap songs that are about heartbreak.
I'm a ghost and you know this. That's why we broke up in the first place. Cause I want you to know that I'm ready to go.
Here Gambino pretty much covers the feelings that occur in what you could say is a fairly toxic relationship, one that's very on and off, very sexual in nature, and one that has a very strong love-hate dynamic to it. It's a situation that confuses Gambino and puts him in a weird place where he doesn't really know what him and this girl are, so he always has contradictory thoughts about her. It's one of those relationships that never really ends, with Gambino even having conflicting thoughts about it in the very last lines of the song. In terms of how it sounds, I love the difference between the hook and the verses on here. Whilst the hook is much softer and sung, the verses are a lot more aggressive and crazed. And again, this is something that contributes to that theme of Gambino having dueling thoughts about everything. This song is fantastic, but the only reason it's lower is because it does have some like comedic moments sprinkled throughout the raw emotion of the track, and that does make it just a little bit less sad in my opinion. Still, great overall though.
But I'm still alone. Hey, I would throw it all away. I just keep on wishing that the money makes you stay.
I believe this is the only song on this list that covers this specific topic of money not being able to buy love and not being able to fill a hole in your heart. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The song starts off kind of sounding just like a flex track, with Post talking about his expensive taste and not much else, but it very quickly transitions over to talking about how all this flexing isn't gonna solve his relationship issues as the first verse closes out. This then leads into a really beautiful bridge from Post Malone, sung in a higher pitch, which was cool because even though it wasn't mind-blowing or anything, it showcased at least a slight increase in his vocal range from the Stoney album. On top of all this, Post just has a naturally moody quality to his voice, and I feel like that helps make all his songs sound just that little bit sadder. Not a huge amount of people in the hip-hop community seem to have a lot of love for Posty, but I do. I think he just makes back-to-back hits, and this is certainly one of them.
I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing. I can't lie. Hurt a little when you said you didn't want me. To know I never tried is what continues to haunt me. Every pic I see is you and him is Twitter trying to taunt me.
Now I'm gonna try my hardest not to bring up the incident between me and Wit every time I mention him, because regardless, I still really do enjoy his music. As you may know, songs about emotions related to girls and breakups is kind of Wit's forte, so it was only a question of what song I was gonna pick specifically from him for this list. In this song, Wit covers that feeling of unrequited love, questioning if the girl he was in love with and used to talk to a lot is still thinking about him, or if she's forgotten about him completely. He does a great job of laying all his thoughts out over this soft but dramatic piano-based instrumental, showing nothing but honesty no matter how it makes him look to this girl. However, he really makes it clear at the end of the track that he eventually came to a realization. He wasn't even really in love with this girl necessarily, but he was more in love with the thought of what they could be, the thought of this perfect relationship that he'd painted for himself inside his head. But of course, that's just not reality. And sometimes that can happen. I know that I personally am someone that always pictures kind of like imaginary scenarios that play out way better in my head than they do in real life, and that is the feeling that Whip perfectly encapsulates with this song.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you. It's to the point where I love and I hate you, and I cannot change you, so I must replace you.
I like to imagine that this is the song that plays in Juice's head when he thinks about Sting taking away his millions. Admittedly, this isn't the most grown-up or level-headed look at a relationship, but Juice undeniably creates this emotional sound with his voice, and the instrumental, which samples Sting's song Shape of My Heart, has this incredibly downcast sound to it. Now, like I said, Juice's lyrics about Heartbreak are written in a relatively juvenile way here, and him being 19 when he wrote it isn't the best excuse either, as we'll find out later on this list. But I can look past that with how brilliant the song sounds and the fact that it just instantly puts me in the mood that it wants me to be in. I can see why this is pretty much his biggest song. This is one of the few tracks that I absolutely loved from Juice WRLD on my first listen to him.
But shit, you're gone, so I just offer you this, a song to you. Through it, I open the crack in my chest and show the whole world I've always had a lack of respect for women who went to my life.
Now, Hopsin has received a lot of criticism for being immature and always blaming other people for his problems, and even as a fan, I can agree with that to some extent and see where the criticisms come from. But here, he 100% accepts responsibility for his actions, and it makes for a very meaningful song. Like, this is the most I've ever seen him beat himself up or talk down to himself on a song, so you can tell this is one that really came from the heart. He goes into detail about the relationship struggles he had with his then girlfriend Heather, and how he treated her badly. The whole thing acts as an apology and admission of his wrongdoings. Now, he does have a couple lines that are a little self-serving and kind of like, oh, my life is so horrible, but the track still comes off as pretty sincere, and it's quite surprising to see how much Hopsin confesses to on here. Sure, the sound of this one isn't super high quality because it came from a fairly early period in Hopsin's career, but I still think it's well made enough to listen to and enjoy today as well.
Cause all you do is speak of love but never lead through action. I used to count the days with you, but now I just subtract them.
Fun fact, Logic himself has stated that he hates this song. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should never start a sentence with fun fact and then logic. But yeah, he said he doesn't like reflecting on stuff like this, but he wrote it for the people who need it and can relate to it. And yeah, there's a lot of pain poured into this one. I can't think of many other tracks where Logic's voice breaks and cracks up as much as it does on here. The only other one that comes to mind is Dear God. The sample took on here is perfect as well. It really conveys that feeling of loss that the track conveys. Lyrically, a few similarities can actually be drawn between this and Wonder If You Wonder, which was on here earlier on the list, with Logic questioning how much his ex has moved on, and Logic being in love with memories of their past. As this is Mr. Peace, Love and Positivity himself though, we do at least get a fairly hopeful ending to the track, with Logic stating that even though it hurt to lose this girl, he knows how to cope with it by using his music as therapy. No matter what happens, rap will always be there for him.
I've been drinking so much that I'ma call her anyway and say, fuck that nigga that you love so bad.
This right here, this is the OG sad boy song. Before there was a whole new wave of emo rap to sit in your car and cry endlessly to while you think about your ex. Before all that, Drake was there to provide the ultimate heartbreak song for the sad boys. Now, I'm not exactly certain if this song is about Drake contacting an ex, because he doesn't explicitly state that. For example, it could just be about a close female friend who he was into that he's referring to. But whoever he's talking to, he clearly thinks he's a better partner for her than the man she's currently with. Drake was certainly in his feelings for this one. Is this why I've seen some people refer to me as the cringiest rap YouTuber on this website? But for real, this song does have quite a sentimental sound. The low-key instrumental really does have this sense of longing to it, which is pretty cool considering the fact that 40 said he hadn't even finished the beat at all, but that Drake wanted to use it in the fairly skeletal state that it was in. That that was a good choice. Now, Drake has always been more in touch with his sensitive side, to the point of it being joked about relentlessly, but you can't deny that it results in some pretty great heartbreak songs, such as this one.
But that blame on me. Chasing something, feeling dumb, cause you all I need. Hope you wait until I'm done and I'm all free. But you know I never know when it's gonna be, and I'm sorry. It's the hardest road to follow.
I think this track hits a bit harder than a lot of other songs on here because it was so unexpected. Lil Dicky broke his usual comedic demeanour for this song to make a 100% sincere track dedicated to his ex, and that's what really makes this one stand out. There are zero jokes to be found on this one, something Dicky makes clear on the intro, as he raps about how he was so set on chasing his rap career that it put a massive strain on the relationship he was in at the time, causing it to result in a breakup. As you can imagine, being a rapper would mean Lil Dicky travelling a lot and going on tour, and this song shows that it's impossible to go into that lifestyle while maintaining a relationship that you had before it. Throughout the verses, he reminisces on all the great memories they had together and all the little things she did that made him feel happier, but in the end, it always comes back to him having a rap career as his #1 priority in life. This is really amplified by the incredibly bold chorus from Brendan Urie, singing the hook which perfectly sums up Dicky's mind state with passion. It's nice to see this more sensitive side of Dicky, and I wouldn't complain if we got to see it more often because he made a very touching track with this one.
Don't know me, you got a new friend. Well, I got homies, but in the end, it's still so lonely. In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told.
I'd describe this one as one of the most emotional songs on this list, if that makes any sense. What I mean by that is you can very much feel Kanye's pain through the music, but the focus on the album that it came from was this very stripped down and minimal sound. You know, with this very stripped back production and cold robotic autotune. So this track somehow manages to pull off sounding empty but full of emotion at the exact same time, which is perfect because that accurately reflects what Kanye was feeling on this track. This song and much of the 808s and Heartbreak album was inspired by his breakup with Alexis Pfeiffer, his then girlfriend of 6 years, with this breakup occurring only months after his mother had passed away. The soulless sound of the autotune is what Kanye thought was best to express the feeling of extreme loss, and it is effective. The only thing that makes this song even better is when you consider how influential it is, slowly increasing the presence of autotune and vulnerability in hip-hop music. A great song, and a very notable one as well.
You know you like her when you're thinking about your words. She got me typing, deleting my messages, then rewriting, in the hope that there's a smile when she's replying. The highlight of my day, them phone calls in the night, it's the little things.
This song is a piece of art, honestly. It's a complete description and analysis of a relationship Dave was in, right from the moment when he met the girl, all the way up to when the relationship disintegrated and broke off. Which is really effective because it means you can literally see how the relationship slowly started to break down as the track goes on. And due to the title of the song being How I Met My Ex, you know that it's just inevitably gonna end in one way. The way Dave can describe his feelings and the events that occurred so vividly is great, and it comes from a very mature perspective as well, with him admitting a lot of the things he did wrong and how he fell into a flawed way of thinking. The thing that surprises me the most about this is the fact that, much like Juice WRLD with Lucid Dreams, it dropped when he was 19, and it's refreshing to see such a young rapper approach a topic like this as if he's at least 10 years older than that. And I've made it clear to you guys before as well that UK rap really isn't my thing, so the fact that I'm putting this at #1 on this list truly showcases how talented a rapper Dave is. He's so good at telling this story that the track being 7 minutes long with no chorus and basically zero drums on the instrumental, it's not an issue at all. He can carry it all with his words and his introspective thinking. I know most of my audience is US based, so if you haven't heard this song, definitely check it out. It's just brilliantly written and such a great song. Every single song I mentioned on this list will be linked in the description below, so this is definitely the one on there that I would recommend the most. Well guys, that is going to be it for the video today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to wipe your eyes off if you've been crying a little bit throughout this video, and also make sure to check out the Bound 2 app, which is linked at the top of the description below. Like I said, I'm always thankful for sponsors on this channel that are very relevant to this channel, and I think the idea of a hip-hop dating app is pretty cool and pretty unique. But yeah, thanks to them for sponsoring this, and thank you to all you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more content similar to this. My end of year lists will be coming very soon, and I'm so excited to do those. I made all the thumbnails yesterday and they look blissful. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one, and this is your boy CDTV Productions signing out.